Hi everyone. Welcome to the video preparation on the session about the forms of doing business. I believe now you are a couple of hours, perhaps 90 minutes old into the world of financial accounting. Some call it business accounting, some call it financial accounting. Um, and you know now that there are different versions of the same thing. It's the right time for you to now understand the different legal forms using which a company, an individual, a partnership, trust, these just names, using which any entity can transact. Okay, so let me just quickly share the screen, and this is going to be like a very small 5-7 minute kind of a video, just to help us in the discussion of the case on this Amar Akbar Anthony and Amarpreet, where we are going to debate as to which form is better, and that's what we're going to do in our live class. But just wanted to make sure that you don't waste a lot of time in this monologue and this understanding. So the three broad questions that I have, are these. So what's the common meaning of business? And I'm happy to know that with the first hour, that you've spent in the class, you understand that the word business here, meaning to transact, it means any economic activity. I hope that you recall it from the first session. Okay, and we also made it a point that an economic activity could also be for non-profit, like for the government or for a charitable organization. So in this, so basically business meant the ability to transact, okay, the willingness to transact. My second question is, which is a moot point here, is that what's really is the meaning of this form? Let me give you a key phrase: legal identity. Now, what happens that every country has a legal infrastructure. Legal infrastructure is another name for plethora of rules, regulations, which are created to ensure that the entities behave the way they are supposed to. So I'm not bringing the corporate governance angle into it, because which is largely the software part of this hardware, but there are a lot of complicated rules which are created. Now, for that legal architect or the legal system to recognize an entity, it has different grades, it has different levels of regulations which are to be followed. Now, a form of business is one such unique combination of how many rules and regulations am I going to follow, and what is the reward that that legal architecture is supposed to give me. So the golden rule is that more the rules and regulations a particular form of business follows, the more things they can do, the more clean they appear to an outsider. And let me just kind of, to draw a parallel about this legal identity with something called as a nominal identity. Now, nominal identity is nothing but the naming architect. So like naming A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4, it's an identity. Okay, a code is an identity, but that's only the nominal part of it, the name part of it. What's the legal status of that particular entity is what is the form of doing business. So here, form of what? Of doing business, basically. So you got to just break it into two parts. And we are debating on what is that form, which is the legal identity as per the company's legal architecture. What are the different forms of business available? With that, I give you four most common, very fundamental, good for learning and building a base form. Are there only these four forms which are possible? Can an entity, or can anyone who wants to do business, can it take the fifth or the sixth form? Answer is a big yes. But then what are these then? These are the oldest, the most traditional, and very good from a learning point of view. I will give you four more advanced, more contemporary, and new age forms of doing business, but they are going to confuse you. And that will happen in the live class when I will be there to handhold you. Okay, so let's just understand what is this, sole proprietorship or partnership. I'm going to name one. I'm going to number them 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as you would have seen that 1 and 2 have been bucketed under the head of non-company. That means I'm using the word company also as a legal identity. Being a company is a matter of legal identity. Okay, what is a company? We're going to talk about that. I'm going to write a word, limited liability, and I'm going to explain it in a while. For the owners, which is a very big plus. I'm going to explain that in a while. Let me start with sole proprietorship. As the name suggests, no marks for guessing. Sole proprietorship is where there's only single owner, and he's the one who has put in his money. He would have hired more than 100,000, 1 million people to work for him. But as a capital provider, he's the single provider of capital. That's a sole proprietor. Okay, flying solo. All risk, all reward, 100% belongs to him. Not many people continue to do business like sole proprietor, although most of the business that you see started as a sole proprietor. But what will happen if that there's a capacity for an individual to put in skills, think laterally? You need some kind of a divergent view to discuss and make some more analytical decisions. So you need more than one. The moment there is that need felt and there is another person inducted at the same ownership level with whatever capital contribution or any other thing, the same sole proprietorship becomes a partnership. So sole proprietor 1 plus sole proprietor 2 is actually a partnership. Rather than being called as proprietor, now the capital providers are called partners. A CA firm, a lawyer firm, largely a brilliant example of partnership. This was one of the, for a very long time, one of the most stable way of doing business, because partnership allowed you to take money from more than one. So the capital corpus became bigger. It allowed to induct people with different skill set. Again, that kind of richness in the management acumen came into picture. So partnership, traditionally, if you look at like 50 years ago, partnership was a brilliant way to look at it. So challenge in both of these is, if I'm a business and I have taken a loan from a bank, I have put into my operational assets, and for some reason the business dooms, and suddenly the bank gives me a call as to when his money could be returned. Now the point is, there is nothing left with the business to give back money to the bank, because wherever the money was put in, it has all gone away because of a loss, a bad debt, or a bad decision, or whatever else. In 1 and 2, the banker has the power to go to the personal assets of the owners, be it a sole proprietor or partners. The personal assets means personal house, personal jewelry, personal phones, cars, FDs, anything which is in the name of the businessman, not business. The banker has the power to even take those. So the liability, the obligation is unlimited. No banker would stop itself by looking at the business assets. They can go to and take the personal assets also. So a quick example, Reliance Industries asset list is different than Mukesh Ambani's asset list. So just for want of another name, if Reliance Industry was a partnership, let's assume, and Mukesh Ambani was one of the partners, and Reliance Industries suffers a huge loss, the bankers can go and sell his new bungalow, Antila or whatever is the name, and recover their dues. Although that bungalow was not in the balance sheet, was not an asset, was not owned by the business, it was owned personally by the partner. So that's the problem in 1 and 2. Where 3 and 4 comes into the picture. So 3 and 4 are different than 1 and 2 because they are a company. Yeah, I understand one is a private company, the other one's a public company. As the name suggests, in private company, you can take money only from your friends and family, where the personal persuasion works. The key word here is personal persuasion. Apologies for a bad handwriting. Okay, public is someone. What do you mean by the public? Aam janta. The common meaning of public is where personal persuasion or personal influence does not work. That's public. So both are companies, by the way. One is a private, one is a public company. So that's the commonality. The difference between the two is, of course, public company is subject to a much stringent, much more stringent rules and regulations, because you are raising money from Aam Janta, whom you don't even know personally, who don't know you personally. So they're really like a why are those public putting in money if they don't know you personally? Again, it's the idea of greed. The more reward and things like those. So we'll come into that as to why would an investor put in money in some other module. But sure, the point is, in case of a private company like Paytm right now, it is 2020, and Paytm is a private company right now. Only people who are invited to invest can invest. You and I, unless approached by Vijay Shekhar Sharma, who is the co-founder and promoter, we can't really buy and sell Paytm's share from the company. Of course, a secondary market sale can still happen. But in case of public company, they're listed in a stock exchange. You and I can really go and buy the shares, even if the promoters don't want us to. It's an open field then, right? So these are the four broad ways. Sole proprietorship is the smallest, single person. When wants to become bigger, partnership, more than one person, but remains unlimited liability. Partners are very afraid of doing business like that. So they think it's better to cover themselves, to envelope themselves using the corporate wheel. Corporate wheel, that's where the company comes into picture. And from a partnership, they gradually move to a private company where the same people who are partners become shareholders. And once that private company wants to really explode in size, raising more money, then they decide to take money from public. And that's where this event between a private company and a public company is what is called as IPO, initial public offer. In a lot of examples of companies coming out with IPO. That's why IPO is a big event, for two broad reasons. First time, company is opening its capital structure to Aam Janta. And second, they're inducting money from people they don't know. So they have to behave much well and much stronger. Okay, so I think that's a good pretext to keep into mind to kind of move into the session on the form of doing business. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Is it, for example, is it necessary to, if someone has to go to three, is it necessary to go through two only, or can you directly from one to go to three? If you can jump, is it possible that the jump is big enough from one directly to four? Or can the movement be backwards? Now, these are the things that we have to debate and discuss after understanding these four forms better. Okay, so I hope that the small video session was useful. I'm super excited to meet you in the live session to discuss this form of doing business. Thanks very much.